If there is manipulation of NIO stock, this is probably the most likely place we're going to be able to see it or see what appears to be perhaps potentially manipulation. We got updated data, so I wanted to share it, but I also wanted to highlight and talk about how just crazy and ridiculous this is. Because this most recent data shows over 2.5 million and over 3 million shares that could not be located or delivered. And here's what's crazy to me about this. Let's take today, for example. And on a day like today, it's about 12:45 Central Time, so we're, more than halfway through the trading day here on this Thursday, February 19th, 2026. And NIO has traded not even 13 million shares. And I'll do you one better. Let's look at the recent history. If we just look at year-to-date data, this is the trade volume on the daily side of things. There has only been one day where NIO stock traded 100 million shares or more. And so the most recent days, let's go from the last few trading days to get this example and for me to really kind of make this point. Under 20 million shares traded, under 30 million shares traded, under 32 million shares traded, under 40 million shares traded. Look, this is the recurring theme is we're seeing very low volume days. And if that's the case, how is it possible for there to be millions and millions of shares that can't be delivered? Especially when you start thinking about things like NIO trading in 3 different global exchanges, at least actually like having a filing, because here's again another one of those points that I want to just toss out there. It is triple levered, and traded in different European markets. But oh yeah, some of those markets also allow naked shorting to go on. So the reality of NIO having millions and millions of shares that can't be delivered, even though it trades officially being listed in Singapore, Hong Kong, and the US, is crazy. It makes no sense unless there is some blatant, nasty manipulation that's going on. Now, what happens if NIO actually starts to pick up volume and we see the FTDs drop off? Let's go back in time. There's only been one window where that happened. And what you saw was a 6-month move. It was actually, I think, within 6 months, $3.50 to over $55. And that was with big volume, 75 trade days within a 6-month period of 100 million shares traded or more. And that was with these FTDs dropping off. But as you see, we have got these elevated spiking FTD numbers, even though we've got incredibly low volume. And I'm not going to do what some of the clickbait pumpers are doing and drop a short squeeze video, because rather than get caught up in the emotion or even drop a bunch of clickbait videos, I prefer to stay focused on the research. And that's what I'm sharing here. So let's now talk about why, even on a day like today, where the stock is down for the day, I'm not terribly concerned in the short term, even because of this. This is February 4th. This is February 5th. February 5th is the only day in this year of 2026 that we've seen a 100 million share trade volume day during the day for NIO stock here in the US market. But again, let me say those dates: February 4th, February 5th. This is the announcement from NIO released February 5th, which of course, in Asia, I joke that they're living in the future there because their time is ahead of ours here in the West or in the US. So that means the 4th or 5th is when NIO announced that they had a profitable quarter in the 4th quarter of 2025. Now, where things get kind of fun and interesting is NIO should be reporting that in March. And then there's more happening after that. But there's so much noise in the meantime, and potential, positioning and negotiations prior to. We're going to go out even a little further from March and talk about April because that's when Trump is supposed to meet with Xi in China. And China has the leverage. I'm going to talk about this in a future video, but and in fact, I've got a lot of content I'm probably going to do over the weekend. I'll probably do a very long form deep dive video and share a whole lot of things because there's been a lot that I have gotten away from covering and talking about, largely due to this. And this is the video that I dropped on February 14th. A lot of people still don't realize that I caught things and shared them on screen that have since been removed. And so I've been tracking this, and this, I call it noise, but it ended up distracting me from doing the video that I was going to do. So I will still do that video. But what's crazy is if you're a neo long, why wouldn't you want to see this video and track the data and stay in research mode as opposed to getting caught up in all the emotional highs and lows? And so, and by the way, once I pointed it out, this is what it looks like when the YouTube algorithm is doing you no favors and giving you no love. Let me point this out. This is the video where I accidentally caught on screen, and I didn't accidentally catch on screen anything. My research took me here. I shared it on screen, and the next morning I found out or realized as I was looking back at comments that they had removed the data, completely removed it. So the only place you can see it as far as I am aware is on my video from this day. And so you've got about 2,200 views since then on that video, and then about 2,400 when I did the update following it. And look at this drop off here. And all there was just a subtle change, but I just kept kind of tracking it and screen sharing and recording it and sharing it. Now, these two videos, I'm not considering necessarily as the algorithm because these are a different type of video that I'm doing. And I've got a playlist now that I've created for it. It's a new YouTube channel. I want to show people how to do a YouTube channel. And I realize a lot of my Neo viewers won't have an interest in that. And that's totally fine. I still want it out there for anyone who does want to start a channel. But this number is crazy to be following up on these. And so I'm just wondering if there's not some alignment with that. This is what's actually showing up right now, by the way. Figured I should do a screen capture and share since I'm doing this video and talk about this stuff. And maybe it'll change. I'll keep tracking it. But this is also, when you want to see what this algorithm does, when it wants to keep your views from, or your stuff from getting out there, check this out. This actually did okay, but look at this one. This is that same video, only about 400 views according to this platform, and yet 7 likes and 2 retweets. And here's why I want to point that out. Look at how low these views are compared to this video, which was the actual Saturday one where I caught the stuff and didn't realize it. 3 retweets, 7 hearts or likes, and what, 3 times the views? Listen, I'm just sharing the data, sharing the research. That's where I'm coming from, where I'm trying to stay focused and mired with things. And yes, I think there is a lot of noise, but if we're talking about even short-term stock price action, this is the move. And it came on one day, only one day of volume of 100 million shares. And it came on the heels of that news about profitability. So what do you think is going to happen when NIO actually reports? Are we going to see trade volume pick up before then? Will it be after that? What are you thinking? Are we going to have to wait until April? The March-April timeframe remains the most compelling for me in the short term with respect to stock price action. And no, I'm not going to predict a short squeeze, but what I will do is continue to share the research. And if we start to see one, I think I'll be able to probably document at least part of it as it happens. The trick is this. The trade volume, as I've got at the bottom of the screen, is the easiest daily indicator for me to track. And the FTDs are not. The reason is they are delayed lagged data. It can be over a month where these can happen without them having to be reported. So this is and shocker that market makers and, folks who have a lot of civil fines for basically breaking laws and doing things and get away with it, because they just pay the fine and then they settle, and that's just what it is. Like, that's part of the business model for them. But what it does for us, especially if you're retail, is we never get to see anything real time. So we don't know what's actually going on. While I'm talking about it, let's just look at something. I'm curious. With only 13 million shares traded today, let's see what our exchange volume is looking like. The majority of that off exchange. Shocker. So maybe big money is quietly buying and loading during this time frame. Even if they just want to trade NIO, this could make sense for them, because they could probably make intra-year gains from where NIO is trading right now if they just buy, wait for the profitability announcement. And I don't know if they would sell that fast, or if they would sell before the end of the year, or if they would want to wait into 2026 or 7, excuse me, when full year 2026 may end up revealing NIO as full year profitable. Of course, that may not be, or probably won't be, reported until March of 2027. So again, I'm just sharing some of my thoughts and the research and the data as I can compile it and share it, and I'm thinking about it. But the reality of us being so delayed from what's actually going on, and by the way, this is some of the additional data, and we could go further, but I really, this video, and I'll level with you, the real reason that I did not do the long form fundamental video is if the only two platforms that I'm actively dropping my videos on are both either shadow banning me or keeping the views, or for people even seeing that the videos are out. I'm going to use this as a bit of a test run, and we'll see how this one performs. And look, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just sentiment is so bad that people, are not even paying attention to the research that they literally cannot find anywhere else. I don't know. But we'll see what happens here, even in the short term. I would say, for me personally, I'm not worried about the stock price, because this is the move, and it came off of a close at $4.44. And even now, being down on this very low volume with very elevated, continuing to be elevated, spiking FTDs, we are still, 40 cents above that, at least right now. And you say 40 cents isn't much. Well, I say, yeah, it kind of is if you look at the history and note the trade volume and the FTDs and the sentiment.